You wake up on Monday morning, you're motivated, you make a plan, exercise every day, read 20 pages, study for 2 hours, work on your goals, you feel unstoppable. Then Wednesday arrives. You're tired, your phone is more interesting, the weather isn't great, you don't feel like doing anything. And suddenly, the plan that seemed so easy 2 days ago feels impossible. So you tell yourself, I need to get motivated again. But what if that's the problem? What if successful people aren't simply better at staying motivated, but better at acting when motivation isn't there? Motivation is useful. It gives you a reason to act. It can make a difficult task feel exciting. It can help you start. But motivation isn't a constant biological fuel tank. Your motivation can change with your sleep, stress, mood, environment, expectations, and how rewarding a task feels. Think about studying. When an exam is 3 months away, studying might feel unnecessary. When the exam is tomorrow, suddenly you can study for 5 hours. The goal didn't change. Your perceived urgency changed. This is why relying entirely on motivation is fragile. You're asking a changing psychological state to perform like a reliable machine, and eventually, it won't. Here's where the science becomes more interesting. Psychologists don't treat motivation as simply motivated versus unmotivated. Different kinds of motivation can lead to different experiences. You might exercise because you genuinely value your health, or because you enjoy becoming stronger. That's different from exercising because you're terrified of what someone else will think of your body. Both can produce behavior, but they don't necessarily produce the same psychological experience. Large meta-analyses of self-determination research have found that more autonomous forms of motivation are associated with outcomes such as persistence, performance, and well-being, while purely external forms of motivation can be less beneficial. So there's an important correction to the usual discipline message. You shouldn't eliminate motivation. You should build goals that are meaningful enough that motivation has somewhere useful to come from. But then comes the problem. What happens on the days when even meaningful goals don't feel appealing? That's where discipline enters. Discipline is often portrayed as a person fighting against themselves. I don't want to do it, but I'll force myself. That's one version of discipline, but psychologically, a more useful way to think about it is discipline is reducing the amount of negotiation required before you act. Imagine two people who want to exercise. Person A wakes up every morning and asks, "Do I feel motivated today?" If yes, they exercise. If no, they don't. Person B has already decided. After breakfast, I walk for 20 minutes. The second person still has feelings. They still have bad days. They simply don't need to solve the entire question again every morning. And this is where habits become important. A habit can develop when a behavior becomes strongly associated with a recurring cue or context. For example, you finish brushing your teeth. You immediately prepare your work bag, or you finish lunch. You automatically take a short walk. The environment begins to act like a reminder. Research on habits describes this as a learned relationship between cues and responses, and that creates a powerful shift. Instead of, "Should I do this?" the situation starts becoming, "This is what I normally do here." That doesn't make behavior completely automatic, and it doesn't mean habits require zero effort. But it can reduce how much conscious decision-making is required. This is one reason discipline doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes discipline looks incredibly boring. Same time, same place, same action, again and again. Not exactly. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings. If discipline simply meant possessing enormous willpower, the solution would be simple: become mentally stronger. But human behavior is influenced by the environment. What's directly in front of you matters. What requires 10 steps matters. What requires 1 step matters. If your phone is sitting beside you while you're studying, you have created a competing behavior. If your running shoes are already beside the door, you've made the desired behavior easier to begin. This doesn't guarantee success, but it changes the situation in which self-control has to operate. And that's a much more realistic model of discipline. Not, I will overpower every temptation, but I will design my environment so I don't have to fight every temptation. So how do you use this? Start with one behavior, not 10. Choose something specific. Instead of I want to get healthier. Try, I'll walk for 20 minutes after dinner. Then attach it to a reliable cue. After dinner leads to 20-minute walk. This is more actionable than a vague intention. Goal-setting research shows that goals can produce meaningful but generally modest improvements in behavior, suggesting that simply having a goal isn't enough by itself. Next, make the behavior easy to begin. Don't focus only on completing the entire task. Focus on removing the first obstacle. Put the book on your desk. Prepare your clothes the night before. Open the document before your work session. Make the first step obvious. Then protect the behavior from unnecessary competition. If you want to study for 30 minutes, you don't need to prove that you're stronger than your phone. You can simply put the phone somewhere else. That's not weakness. That's strategy. There's another trap. People sometimes turn discipline into punishment. I failed today. I'm useless. I have no self-control. That may feel motivating for a moment, but research on motivation suggests that behavior driven primarily by pressure or self-worth contingencies can come with psychological costs. Autonomous motivation and perceived competence are generally more supportive of healthier behavior change. So discipline shouldn't mean constantly attacking yourself. It should mean creating a structure that helps your future self do what your present self decided mattered. You will miss days. You will lose momentum. You will have stressful weeks. The goal isn't perfect consistency. It's making returning easier. Think back to that Monday morning. You were excited. You had energy. You felt motivated. But motivation was never supposed to carry the entire journey. It can help you choose the direction. It can remind you why the goal matters. It can give you the initial push. But when the excitement disappears, your environment, routines, planning, habits, and self-regulation can help keep the behavior moving. So maybe the better question isn't, how can I stay motivated every day? Maybe it's, how can I make the right action easier to repeat, even on the days I don't feel like it? Because discipline isn't about becoming a person who never wants to quit. It's about becoming a person who doesn't need every feeling to agree before taking the next step. And that changes everything. Motivation can tell you where you want to go. Discipline helps you keep moving when the feeling changes. If you learned something, subscribe to Mindora for more fascinating insights into psychology, the brain, and human behavior. And if you have any question, ask in the comments section.